should I say hiya? Welcome back to another episode. In this episode, we're going to take you along with us to find Britain's largest species of land carnivore. And we're also going to go look for a semi-aquatic mammal that is very, very cute. So let's get into it.
Our first leg of the journey takes us to the western coast of Scotland, onto the Isle of Mull, an area rich in wildlife, well, at least for UK standards. Mull is the fourth largest island in Scotland and covers an area of 338 square miles. The scenery here is truly breathtaking. Lush, green, mountainous hillsides fall away into many different lochs beneath, protecting these calm waters and providing the perfect habitat for our major target species, the Eurasian otter. To gain access to Mull, we have to take one of several ferries which travel to the island. The population on the island is only small, at around 1,800 people. However, many tourists flock to the area over the summer period, likely doubling this number. Once we reach the island, it's time to keep an eye out for otters. They'll spend a lot of time out in open water, however will often return to shore with larger meals to feed. Our best chance is to spot one swimming into shore from a distance and hope we predict where it will come to land to feed. While looking for otters, we saw many different species of aquatic birds, and seals swimming from a distance got our hopes up more than once. But there was no mistaking this guy when we finally did see him. Eurasian otters are carnivorous, and their diet reflects that of their aquatic nature, feeding mostly on fish and aquatic crustaceans such as crabs. They will dive down and search for these food items underwater, and smaller items will be consumed while still in the open water. However, they will return to shore with larger food items which take longer to feed upon to reduce the risk of themselves being preyed upon. Eurasian otters were actually much larger than I expected. Perhaps I thought of them to be a similar size to our Ricali in Australia. However, they grow to lengths between 100 and 140 centimetres long and can reach weights of up to 11 kilograms. They have an incredibly large distribution, from Ireland and the UK in the north, all the way down to China and Southeast Asia in the south. However, despite this large geographical range, their numbers are declining in most countries where this species is not protected. Fortunately, this is not the case here in Scotland. Eurasian otters have actually made a spectacular comeback in the British Isles since the 1980s, where efforts were made to decrease pollution levels in these waterways. Most Eurasian otters are actually nocturnal and spend most of their time in freshwater environments, so it's very interesting that this population in the Scottish Isles actually tend to prefer foraging in the open sea and are mostly diurnal. These factors obviously make for a much higher chance of spotting one, and is partly why we chose this location to film this beautiful species. We actually managed to see a number of Eurasian otters in our time on Mull. However, most encounters were very brief. Otters are incredibly shy and should not be approached too hastily. They will retreat and find shelter among the rocks and weed on the edge of the lochs and remain out of sight until they feel safe to come back out. We were able to spend some time with this otter from quite some distance, and as such were lucky enough to watch it behaving naturally around us, swimming in the sea and searching for food before returning to the weedy shorelines to perhaps scavenge for leftovers or other washed up food that may be hidden among the thick weed matting along the seashore. For the next part of our British wildlife journey, it's time to leave the world-famous Scottish Lochs and into its woodlands to find one of the UK's most iconic native mammals. Many animals can be found in these woodlands, including a number of species of bird. Woodpeckers, such as this great spotted woodpecker, are a welcome sight for an Aussie. However, to find our target species, we have to sit tight and patiently wait for night to fall. After the sun is set and darkness approaches, we hear the approach of heavy feet and noisy foliage, and I get my first ever glimpse of an adorable black and white striped face belonging to none other than the badger. Unlike the otters, which are mostly solitary animals, these European badgers are very much a social species. They will live in a family group of typically between 6 to 8 adult animals. However, much larger sets of up to 35 animals have been recorded. Badgers have incredibly strong front legs and claws, which enable easy construction of these sets, and many hands make light work. Larger badger sets may consist of up to 100 metres of tunnel with as many as 40 different entrances. In one study of a UK badger set, it was found to contain 300 metres of tunnelling, which estimated to around 25 tonnes of soil moved. What makes badger sets so unique compared to other burrowing species is their structure. Badger sets can be broken down into 4 classes: a main set, annex sets, subsidiary sets, and outlier sets. The main set consists of many entrances and well-worn paths, as is often the case with the annex set. However, it is usually located around 50 to 150 metres away. Subsidiary sets have a variable number of entrances, with only some connecting to the main set by obvious paths, and the outlier sets may contain only 1 or 2 entrance holes, as these are only used sporadically. It's really quite a remarkable burrowing system. Badgers are described as being opportunistic omnivores, which you could say means they'll eat almost anything. However, they use their incredible sense of smell and those powerful claws to mostly find and consume earthworms, of which one adult badger may eat up to 200 in a single night. Earthworms consist of around half of a badger's typical diet. However, they will also feed on insects, birds and mammals, and it's noted that badgers are one of only 2 animals known to feed upon British hedgehogs, the other being the red fox. During frost and snow over winter, badgers' feeding may slow down. However, once winter passes, typical feeding soon resumes. What's interesting is badgers have been found to mostly feed alone during spring, and then slowly becoming more social feeders as the year progresses, until the whole clan typically feeds together once more. Badgers are one of the most unique and incredible native animals in the UK, and I feel incredibly fortunate to get the chance to see them. Unfortunately, badgers are still very much villainised by farmers in the UK, with continual debate over carrying and transferring tuberculosis to cattle, which has seen government-supported culls in the past. Regardless of these circumstances, culling of a native species is never the answer, and the risk of losing a large carnivore such as a badger from an ecosystem is far too catastrophic, and more work needs to be done so that badgers and the agricultural industry can coexist.